Welcome, dearest friends, to TIBP Live, Ice Apocalypse 2026, A Sign from God. United States winter storm was geoengineered, government fake snow, and cloud seeding. This massive storm was geoengineered and the Pentagon is to blame? Was the government or NGOs involved in a massive cloud seeding, chemical operation prior to this weekend's storm? Eyewitness reports all over the country. Citizens are uploading their video. Reported the same thing.
Are you in Tennessee about to get this winter storm? I want to show you something. They're seeding our skies. Just saw a plane. Where is he? It's so hard to see him. The clouds are spreading. They are seeding our skies.
What is the truth behind this crisis? Right about now, millions and millions are still without water after a brutal winter storm brought by massive snow and ice to much of United States. BBC.com says, January 27, 2026, deadly U.S. winter storm, leave flights delayed, and thousands without power. Millions of Americans digging out after deadly snowstorm face days of bitter cold. Tens of millions of Americans were digging out on a bitter cold since last Monday in the aftermath of a monster winter storm that dumped a foot of snow from New Mexico to New England. Much paralyzed much of the eastern United States, caused at least 18 deaths, and scuttled thousands of flights. President Donald Trump is using this winter storm to mock climate science. He says, rarely seen anything like it before. Could the environmental insurrectionists please explain whatever happened to global warming? Netizens are asking, was the government or the NGOs involved in a massive cloud seeding, chemical operation prior to this weekend's monster winter storm? Eyewitness reports all over the country reported the same thing. Dearest friends, can man now control the weather? Does Bible prophecy reveal that Satan will exercise his power over calamities by sea and by land? I want to share some of the netizens that have witnessed prior to this weekend storm, before the historical snowstorm hit the United States.
They are predicting a historical level snowstorm in my area, which is crazy because typically you can't predict precipitation so many days out. But if you look up in the sky, sometimes you can. Sometimes you can tell by the sky what's going on and what we're preparing for. Maybe what's been planned for us.
To this potential historic winter storm, people are asking, can the government change the weather? And if so, is it potentially that the government is doing this? For those of you that didn't know, this article was just released January 19th. It says, can cloud seeding programs boost water supply in the West? Western states invest millions in weather modification technology to increase precipitation. That's ironic, because during the tribulation, Revelation 12:15, the Bible says, then the dragon tried to drown the woman with the flood of water that flowed from his mouth. The woman here would not be the church, it would be Israel. The church came from Yeshua. Yeshua came from this woman. And this woman wouldn't be Mary because this woman flees during the tribulation. The enemy has the capability to do this. And at times it's he himself or it's human beings working with it.
Although the verse in Revelation is misused here, we can see how people is making the connection to end time prophecy. In the morning, the skies had a few of these lines in the sky, mostly clear, but then a few started to appear. Then by 10 a.m., more and more started to appear all across the skies. Then by 1 p.m., more and more. Look at that. More and more start appearing above the skies. And then 3 p.m., again and again, more of these lines in the skies. And then, of course, we saw what happened. A massive, really devastating storm comes after. Dane Wigington is the leader over at geoengineeringwatch.org, and he has been looking at the storm and all of the piece of this that have gone into making the storm happen. And the first question to him, is the storm engineered? And he said, yes, absolutely, 100% from top to bottom.
Victim of climate engineering weather warfare for at least 4 decades. They have completely cut off the flow of precipitation to Iran, so much so that the capital of Iran, with a population of 10 million, they're now considering evacuating 10 million people to where? Because they literally have no water, because the NATO operations, and Iran is specifically named NATO and Israel as cutting off their precipitation for 40 years. That's weather warfare. I wonder why they don't like us over there. And again, they've been on the floor of the UN, on film, on the record, stating emphatically, the president of that country, that NATO's cutting off their precipitation. How is that not an ongoing act of war for 40 years? A decade plus, emphatically stating that NATO and Israel were cutting off the flow of precipitation to Iran. And let's plug this in, going all the way back 64 years to President Lyndon Johnson in 1962. This is the beginning 30 seconds of every weekly geoengineeringwatch.org update on our site, all news. First 30 seconds is film footage, Lyndon Johnson stating on film, on the record, that we had the power to control the world's cloud layer then, and he who controls the weather controls the world. Why? Because he who controls the weather can control the flow of precipitation in any country, anywhere, how toxic that rain is, how much rain falls or doesn't. Thus, they can destabilize food supplies. Thus, they can destabilize populations. 40 years, the Iranian climate science meteorological community has stated that NATO is cutting off their precipitation. They're not guessing. They have incredibly sophisticated weather monitoring facilities, just like we have. There's no speculation here.
It is striking when he said, because he who controls the weather can control the flow of precipitation to any country, anywhere. How toxic that rain is, how much rain falls or doesn't. Thus, they can destabilize food supplies. Thus, they can stabilize population. Destabilizing the population. So you have control, the stabilization of food supplies, and the population. It just reminds us of a powerful statement from Great Controversy, and it's being fulfilled in our time. GC 589. Even now, he is at work in accidents and calamities by sea and by land, in great conflagrations, in fierce tornadoes and terrific hailstorms, in tempests, floods, cyclones, tidal waves, and earthquakes, you name it. In every place and in thousand forms, Satan is exercising his power. He sweeps away the ripening harvest, and famine and distress follow. He imparts to the air a deadly taint, and thousands perish by the pestilence. These visitations are to become more and more frequent and disastrous. Destruction will be upon both man and beast. Dearest friends, can man really control the weather and play God? This is the same spirit of the Antichrist.
That's ironic, because during the tribulation, Revelation 12:15, the Bible says, then the dragon tried to drown the woman with the flood of water that flowed from his mouth. The woman here would not be the church, it would be Israel. The church came from Yeshua. Yeshua came from this woman. And this woman wouldn't be Mary, because this woman flees during the tribulation.
Dearest friends, in Revelation 12, this is not talking about literal water, just like what the TikToker is implying. This is not talking about a literal snowstorm or flood of water. So what does John the Revelator meant by the dragon spewing water to the woman? The woman here is not literal Israel. The pure woman here was hidden, Revelation 12, by God for 1,260 years. Israel did not experience that. Literal Israel. John is not pointing to Israel in Revelation 17, but rather the remnant people of God that have received the living oracles of God and was protected during the papal persecution, the Dark Ages.
Persecuting waters in Revelation 12 verse 15. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. In this verse, we are informed that the dragon spewed water out of his mouth with the intention of drowning the woman, the pure church. Reading on in verse 16, but the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Verse 16 states that the persecuting waters were dried up by the earth. After a time of respite, during which the waters are dry, persecution ceases.
Did Mother Babylon persecute God's people in the past and will be persecuting in the future?
And even though it seems that calamities are becoming more repetitive with rapid intensity, God is still in control and we have nothing to fear. Let our faith be bigger than our fears. Revelation 4 verse 11, you are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they existed and were created. Only Jesus is worthy of honor, the most powerful. He is our creator, and He is coming soon. Kindly type our response today. God is still in control. Thank you, dearest fans. Thank you for supporting this ministry. Hope you can like and share truth found in Bible prophecy.